Hello, this is a product review of the Weistek / Ideawerk 3D printer, and I hope to share some of my experiences and save you some money and time. With that said, there are several aspects of the 3D printer that I can include in this review, but my focus is to look at particular pros and cons that stood out to me. Hi, my name is Stephen Raymond, and I have several years of experience as a mechanical engineer, and I'm here to add value by sharing my experience in the area of 3D printing. So let's dive in. Why did I purchase the two Weisteks that I have here on the screen? It's because they were fully assembled and they worked. The reason I knew that they worked is because I joined a local makerspace and this is what they were using. Compared to what I went through with the Robo 3D, these worked really well. And as you can see, they are smaller, but they worked. I was able to get my prints done. The price and during the time, which is 2016, was pretty reasonable. I think it was like $500 or $600, which is well under $1,000, which was my limit for a 3D printer. And I compared it to others. With the metal construction, it looked sturdy as well as professional, as you can see here on the screen. And as you can, you can't see the stepper motors. Everything is hidden under the metal shrouds. You had an LCD screen, so I could actually take it into the office without a problem. There are several pros between both of the 3D printers. The W200, we'll start there. It's under $500, which is a good deal. The structure is extremely rigid because of its metal, and it's a heavy gauge metal, and it also hides all of the motors, the belts, and everything that's moving around in the background. The hot end is good because it didn't clog. The stepper motors worked smoothly. Didn't have any problems out of those. I didn't have to replace any stepper motors. The bed leveling was a little tricky because you had to manually do it. You had to manually set in the number and then program it into the actual controller. The build plate was removable, which is really good, and you can remove the plate and flex it and then pop off your 3D print, which is really good compared to having a glass build plate and you can't flex that build plate at all. The controller, it worked well. I didn't have any problems. I didn't have to remove the controller or pull it from the bottom of the structure, and it's sitting in a good place, which is under the entire 3D printer. Some 3D printers have the controller separate, like the Creality machines, and it's harder for a person to move them around, like you taking it to an office or a different location. So I thought that was a good idea to have it all in one little package. And the LCD screen was good too. For a 2016 machine, it made a good add to the 3D printers, because the do-it-yourself 3D printers didn't have a screen attached. Or the pros for the WT280A are very similar to the WT200. So you can see here that the price is a little higher. The frame is the same. The hot end is the same. The heated bed is what was different. That's one of the main differences, is that the heated bed. So you're supposed to be able to print with ABS, but without an enclosure, it didn't work for me. The stepper motors were the same. The bed leveling was a little different because of the controller, but you did have to go in manually and program the bed leveling. The build plate was the same, had the same removable, flexible build plate. The controller is the same. LCD was the same. One major difference is that the WT200 required a USB connection to the computer, to your laptop or your desktop, so that you can tie into the slicer software. And that's it for the pros. Now we have the cons of both of the 3D printers. A lot of them are the same, but we're going to go through them. The first one is the filament feeder, which you can see below where I disassembled the shroud and a few other items, but I had to basically disassemble the entire system just to see why the filament was skipping. It had to have the perfect tension on it, and it was misaligned. So I had to disassemble everything to see what was going on, and I had to do it on both units. So this was a time consumer and definitely a con. The next one was the filament holder. As you can see here, I had to redesign the filament holder, and the factory version is on the side of the 3D printer. I had to create my own little filament holder design so that the filament is at the rear of the 3D printer and higher, so that the filament could flow into the filament feeder without a lot of tension. So the filament holder helped a lot with the alignment of the filament going into the direct drive of the extruder. It was very difficult trying to constantly force the filament in and thinking that it's moving forward and extruding, and it wouldn't be. So that was a big headache. The next issue is that there was no enclosure, so I couldn't print ABS and other exotic filaments that needed an enclosure. The build plate was pretty small, but at the time it was okay. I just had to work harder by breaking up my 3D models and printing the model and then reassembling the model, which is time consuming. The slicer software, they had their own particular slicer software, and you couldn't like use Cura or these open source type software, so it was their proprietary software. There's no place to purchase spare parts. Initially there was a website where you can purchase spare parts, but that's gone away now, I think, since Ideawerk took over. So that is an issue. So if something goes wrong, you're out of luck. Poor customer service. Again, there's no place to go to get help or anything of that nature, so you basically are on your own. Again, the WT280A, I had the same issues with the filament feeder, the holder, no enclosure, the build plate is still small, and here we go, the heated bed. My heated bed stopped working. So what happens is the bed heats up first, and then after the controller receives the signal that it's reached that particular temperature, then the 3D printer nozzle initiates, the head initiates and starts to print. Well, my heated bed stopped working completely, therefore I can't print anything because it never reaches the temperature. So I was not going to disassemble the entire unit to get to the controller and figure out what was going on. Just too time consuming. So that means I'm going to have to sell the 3D printer for parts. Again, the same slicer software. On that slicer software, there is a different version between the WT200 and the WT280A. Again, no place to purchase spare parts and poor customer service. So if you purchase this unit, you're pretty much on your own, but it is a workhorse. I am still using my WT200 and it extrudes well because I redesigned a lot of things and I was able to fix the problems. But if something stops working, then I'm out of luck. I hope this helps. On to the next slide. I hope that you have found this video helpful and that it will save you some money and time in the world of 3D printing. So please hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video. And use the power of 3D printing. Thank you.